By the way, some good news here. The UN has just let us know that their special rapporteur, I don't even know what that is. Do you know what that is?
No.
Go ahead, say it.
No, that's
Sarah
okay.
was just saying something in your ear and not to mine.
We were just thinking that really is not the combo you want to get. Okay. That's just, if you're going to get a combo, that's not the one you want.
Yeah,
you want to avoid the AIDS,
I'm not
monkeypox. What was the third one?
Syphilis.
Syphilis.
It's not like I'm pulling up to any fast food restaurant and saying, give me the combo.
And if you get it, don't supersize it. It's going to be...
How would you supersize that?
You don't want to find out.
Okay.
That's probably what the picture was.
All right. So anyway, don't bring up that picture again. Really, don't click on it. I'm not saying this hoping that you'll click on it. I'm saying this because... Really? Did you click on it?
No. Some things are just better to not look at.
Yeah, I was just too curious. And
I'm never curious.
That killed the cat, which I'm normally for. Not in this case. All right, anyway. The special rapporteur on contemporary forms of slavery has just come out and said, you know what? It is reasonable to conclude that China does have forced labor camps and concentration camps. They're on it.
Wow.
They're on it. Now, they said, we're pretty sure this is happening, but we should have some more talks on it, meetings, and maybe another study to make sure. But they say they are exploiting the Uyghurs and committing crimes against humanity, which include all kinds of things. But what kills me is what they led with. It wasn't slavery. It wasn't, rape. It wasn't mutilation. It wasn't the fact that they're in internment camps. They led with excessive surveillance. Isn't that interesting? By the way, the Panopticon is a jail. Look it up. You can look this up. It doesn't have any pictures of the guy's nose. The Panopticon is a prison where the guards, it was a circle, and the guards were in the center, and so they could see every single cell at all times and know what was going on. It was deemed inhumane because you cannot live like that. This is the world we're headed towards, that your entire world will be a panopticon. Anyway.
I just want to point out, as you mention, the surveillance that leads to imprisoning millions of people that are innocent and ruining their lives in prison camps, that our former CIA director said the Republican Party was the most dangerous and contemptible organization.
Thank you.
Is that where you're going?
That's exactly where I was going.
Darn it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
exactly. No. That's exactly where I was going.
General Michael Hayden tweeted, I agree, and I was the CIA director when someone said that the Republican Party was the most extreme and violent ideology around the world. That they have never come across a political force more nihilistic, dangerous, and contemptible than today's Republicans. Nothing close. The CIA director said, I agree, and I was the CIA director. And think of China's just one example.
Now, let me give you this. The New York Times, Charles Blow, is the guy who started this. And this is in an opinion piece saying that Republicans, forget the label, that's people, your neighbors. I would not say this. In fact, I correct people. I was just on stage this week in Salt Lake, and they were talking about things, and I said, look, we have to look at the people on the other side, and we look at them as the enemy. We cannot do that. There are some that will never change, never get it, and they'll always work to destroy and overthrow and burn things down. Those people will have to be tried in a court of law. Everyone else, we cannot make them in an enemy that we see them, our neighbors, the same way. Because they're not. They're different. And this is not what the left, the leadership and the main thinkers and those former CIA director are saying. New York Times, Republicans are America's problem. We must stop thinking it's hyperbolic to say that the Republican Party itself is now our threat to democracy. I understand the queasiness about labeling many of our fellow Americans in that way. Yeah, only half the country. I understand that it sounds extreme and overreaching, but how else are we going to describe what we're seeing? Now, so you know, I'm not a Republican. I've never been a registered Republican. I voted for everyone from Donald Trump to Joe Lieberman. Okay? I'm an independent. But I will be and am a Republican to everyone who would write something like this. So independents, don't think that you're immune from this. Republicans are the threat to democracy because of their preferred form of democracy, one that excludes and suppresses, giving Republicans a fighting chance of maintaining control. That is the danger. For modern Republicans, democracy only works, and it is only worth it when and if they win. Republicans have searched for multiple election cycles for the right vehicle and packaging for their white nationalism, religious nationalism, nativism, craven capitalism, and sexism. He said it is they're running headlong in their bigotries and intolerances and oppressions. Okay, so that's what they think of us. That's who we are. Now, I want you to know that the guy who wrote that was born in 1968. So I am 4 years older than him. So we've lived pretty much the same kind of life and seen the same things. This means that he has lived through, I'm speaking globally, not in America, globally. He lived through the tail end of the Soviet Union and the gulags and the tortures and the deaths. He lived through Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini and what they're doing today with the tortures, the disappearances, the death, throwing homosexuals off the roof of buildings as their punishment in current day Iran. He lived through China's Tiananmen Square. He lived through Iraq's Saddam Hussein. He lived through the Rwandan genocide. He lived through Milosevic in Yugoslavia, Osama bin Laden, Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, what's happening today once again in Afghanistan, Bashir al-Assad, Hezbollah, Hamas, Vladimir Putin, the concentration camps and slavery in China. And for him, today's Republican Party is worse than any of those, quote, by far. Our good Democrat neighbors who have been swept up into craziness, we have to be able to say to them, look, you may not be a Trump person. I get that. But you're not one of these people that say, me, your former friend, your neighbor, your daughter, your son, who you've now said, I want nothing to do because you voted for Donald Trump or you're a Republican. Do you really? Because this is where we're going. It's not just that I can't be friends with you anymore. You are now putting me into a category that is more violent and extreme than any of that. If you actually don't stand up now and you actually believe that, let me ask you, what's the next step? What do you do with 50% of the population that you now believe is worse than the people that ran the gulags, throwing homosexuals off the buildings, torturing women, using them as slaves? What do you do with people that you say are worse than those who are maintaining slave centers and internment camps? What do you do with those people? Because you certainly can't live next door to them. See, people don't understand. We're on a staircase, and every step you take is going down deeper and deeper and deeper. and darker and darker. You have to ask yourself, okay, if I believe this, what's next? And if they say, oh, there's no slippery slope, you remind them that you probably were the person that said, look, I don't have a problem with gay marriage. I'm not a homophobe. Okay? If they want to get married, they can get married. Fine. But let's not change the whole system, because the next thing that will be happening is we'll say that men are women and children and pedophiles, that's their own decision. And your neighbor most likely said, you're crazy, that would never happen. That's the slippery slope. You cannot accept people who are saying this. Put them on record right now. I'm your friend or former friend. You have to stand against this, because they didn't just say Republicans. They said Republicans and our neighbors. We're just talking about the former director of the CIA saying Republicans are the most violent, extreme political force ever covered.
Dangerous, nihilistic.
Yeah,
this is
most dangerous and nihilistic force he's ever seen.
People say this a lot, and I think gets overstated. But this is one of the most unbelievable moments that I can ever remember in politics.
Okay, so I would say I started saying that this morning when I first read this. Yeah. Okay, that this is the most unbelievable thing. We say that all the time. I think we need to change it on this one. This is the most dangerous thing I have ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, think of a CIA director. This is a guy who saw footage of Assad's regime firing chemical weapons at innocent people and gassing children. This is a person who knows with all sorts of detail Boko Haram, kidnapping children, murdering them, Al-Qaeda, the Chinese government, the Venezuelan government, the ISIS. Cartels in Central America. Think of the horrible things. North Korea.
This guy has seen it all. That's why it's more dangerous. If Joy Reid would have said it, we would have rolled our eyes and went, of course she said that. It still would have been bad and dangerous. But this guy is
intimate knowledge of all of this and power. And it's one of the most unbelievable, I mean, the most dangerous moment I've ever seen. This man had this power. This is incredible.
But we never do that. Oh, wait a minute. We have the Japanese internment camps. The entire country said, don't inter the Japanese until an event happened, Pearl Harbor. And then it didn't matter what the facts were. A demagogue president whipped him up into power, and we interned the Japanese.